Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I certainly hope you're having a fine day. Okay, precisely what this video is about is I'm making this video for veterans. So if you're not a veteran, you probably should just shut this video off and don't worry about it so much. But how this is coming about is between last night and this morning, I was going down through my library of YouTube videos, and I see I've got 2, 3, 4 videos on veteran situations, on my situation. I am a Vietnam veteran and whatnot have you, but I thought to myself, my God, you did a terrible job. I'm talking about me. What I want to do here is produce a video that will show veterans how to win a VA case. Of course, this information I'm about ready to give you, it might be a little outdated because it's been a while since I've been adjudicated. The government is good at changing the rules of the game. They're good at changing terminology. You take, like in my case, I'm adjudicated for PTSD. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is one of the hardest claims to win in the VA. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you understand this. But you can have troubles with the VA without having a traumatic head brain injury or PTSD or whatever have you. And while I'm talking about terminology, I know for practical experience that the VA has changed the name of PTSD 4 or 5 times in the last 50, 60, whatever years. It used to be shell shock, and it was battle fatigue. And then in the mid-'80s, I know because I was diagnosed with delayed stress syndrome by a VA contractor therapist type individual when I didn't even know what delayed stress syndrome was, and I told the individual that, and I didn't even know that you could get adjudicated for that. In other words, monetary compensation and whatnot have you. And of course, it graduated PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Now I hear tell they're calling it PTS. They left a disorder off. The government's good at this kind of stuff. But let's get on with this. I got 10 points on this card to help you folks, ladies and gentlemen out that are veterans, that are maybe having trouble with the VA on getting a claim pushed through, an adjudication claim, okay? Adjudication means you're justified in your claim, okay? The first thing that you want to do is don't procrastinate, like I did. When the words delayed stress syndrome were first uttered to me, I thought, well, big deal. That'll mean nothing to me. I didn't know it was adjudicatable. I didn't even bother to file any paperwork. If you don't start any paperwork, if you don't jump into this VA fire, you ain't going to get nothing. Are you hearing me? You got to get motivated. Stop procrastinating. If you come home from a foreign war and you're having night sweats, anger management problems, substance abuse, lack of REM sleep, panic attacks, and this list goes on and on and on. Chances are you got PTSD, and chances are you better file a claim. Don't procrastinate. Because altogether, it took me 10 years. I didn't stutter, ladies and gentlemen. It took me a decade. It took me 8 years from when I got serious about this business in 1996. I was admitted into Sheridan, Wyoming, Fort McKenzie, and sent through a 100-day PTSD program. I was rubber stamped right there forever, having PTSD, but yet I had an 8-year fight after that, proving my case. 8 years, and then another 2 more years or another 3 more years, to get to where I am now. Actually, I got about 11, 12 years in my 70% adjudication. I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. There's no such a thing as having PTSD 20% of the way, or 50%, or whatever. You either have PTSD or you don't. This is the government's way of screwing you out of money. I should be at 100%. Okay, so you need to jump on this. Don't procrastinate. Get a claim going, okay? Number two, you need to get yourself an advocate. And by an advocate, I mean get some help from I recommend you the American Legion. They did more for me than any one individual except for the Montana State VA, the Montana Veterans Representative in this state. Now check in your individual state and see if you've got a veteran rep. They'll help you out. No kidding. The woman, I'm not going to say any names there, but the woman that helped me out is located very near a town here in Montana called Belgrade, Montana, and she did a lot, especially in helping me win from 50% to 70%. But that's where I'm hung up right now. Okay. But like I say, I'm recommending the American Legion, the DAV. I heard that back in the day when I was fighting my claim, I heard the DAV wasn't all that good, but they might have improved. And then your state rep, get hold of your state rep if you got one, okay? Now, number three, when it comes to lawyers and attorneys and stuff like that, I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. Back in my day, I was highly advised to get a lawyer, and all that. The government, meaning the VA, don't pay no attention to lawyers. They could have a whole troop full of lawyers come at them, they wouldn't care. Because the VA is a government agency that sits way off here in left field, and they figure, well, we're the keepers and we're the caretakers of lawyers for the United States of America. It's like they pretend like they're untouchable. Well, I happen to know that this is all a bunch of nonsense, Okay, I'm just going to leave that part go. The VA's got a real bad attitude, let me put it to you that way. And they're always broke, too. That's one of their biggest excuses. The Congress doesn't allocate us enough money and blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all. In all my years of fighting with the VA, I've heard it all. Okay, so I don't recommend getting no lawyer, bottom line. That was number three. Number four, get your paperwork filed. Get the right forms. Get the American Legion to help you, the DAV. Most VA hospitals, regional offices, headquarters, those kind of VAs usually have a DAV office in there. Get right on in there, help them fill out. You got to get that paperwork started, okay? Right off the get-go. Get the correct forms, get that paperwork filed, okay? You may be, back in my day, they were real big on evidences. You may be required to submit extra evidence. Like in my case, what they were real big on was getting buddy statements. They wanted 3 statements from 3 different buddies that you served with. Well, look, I got out in 1973. I was first diagnosed in the mid-'80s, which I didn't pay any attention to. And then in 1996, when I went into the system for real, and went through the therapy and all that other kind of stuff, look at how many years had passed by. I had no idea where any of my buddies were. I got on the internet, looked up as many names as I possibly could, possible addresses. People that were getting my postcard probably thought I was completely out of my mind. But I was sending postcards just about this size right here saying, are you the, Joe Smith that I served with in Vietnam? If you are, please get a hold of me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you may be required to gather up evidences. Do it. That's what I'm telling you. Just do it. Okay. And adjudications are handled different than when mine. I got adjudicated in 2004. My first adjudication. Remember I told you I had a situation where I was diagnosed in the mid-'80s, did nothing about it, waited till 1996 till I got myself in enough legal trouble with drinking and fighting and getting thrown in jail and whatnot have you, where I knew I had to do something about it. Okay, I started in 1996, didn't win my adjudication till 2004. Them bastards up there in Washington, because at the time, you were dealing with VA lawyers up in Washington. 1 I Street in Washington. Very close to the White House. But them suckers went as far as saying stuff to me like, They had no records I was even in Vietnam. And I'm telling you the absolute truth. I'm not making this shit up. They said that my records got burned up in a St. Louis, Missouri fire or some goopy thing like that. I got news for you. Your records are kept in the Pentagon, by the way. Don't ever let them tell you that your records have been destroyed. But this is the kind of tricks that were pulled on us Vietnam veterans and other veterans too. You know, they just kept coming up with one excuse right after the other. And that's another thing too. If you're going for a PTSD claim and whatnot have you, by VA bylaws or whatever have you, you have to have served in a combat zone for 24 hours. And they try, even if you were flying over a combat zone, they try to get out of it that way because they want to see boots on the ground. I know, I've been through all this crap. I feel sorry for a lot of Air Force guys, you know, people sitting out on naval ships. Unless you were in a known engagement, a naval engagement, with the guns blazing away and all that kind of other stuff, man, they want to see boots on the ground for at least 24 hours so that you were in an adjudicatable position. Now, this is the VA talking, okay? Now, my point being, this is number 6 I'm hung up on here, or whatever have you, or no. Yeah, did I say buddy statements? Yeah, buddy statements. And of course, this evidence that I was talking about, this is number 5. Your medical records absolutely mean something too. Okay, number 6. Sorry if I got a little confused there. Adjudications are done by state now, or regional hospital to regional hospital. I know I just got it going through that. They're not necessarily done in Washington. They have a commissioned officer that you may have to report into and make some statements, okay, or whatever have you. Which brings me to number 7. If you ever do have to do one of these hearing things, it's called a remand hearing. If you get booked for a remand hearing, go to it and sing your guts out. You have got rights in the VA. The government has granted you certain rights, but they do a good job, the legal side of the VA, of hiding these rights from you. It's up to you to find them. Most of those rights are plastered all over these VA centers, these regional offices and whatnot have you. Okay? Now, if you get denied, don't lose heart. I got denied I don't know how many times. 7, 8, 10 times, whatever it was. Because you've got a year to refile again. Just keep refiling. It's money in the bank. I'm going to tell you why. They go back to when you first put in a claim for your injury, if it's PTSD, whatever it might be, and they'll give you what they call retro pay. I got a friend, a Navy SEAL friend of mine, I'm just kidding about this, but he calls it radioactive pay, but it's called retroactive pay. They have to pay you back to when you first filed your first claim. So keep filing claims. And, I can't stress that enough. And you need to keep a copy of all your medical records. When you go into a VA and you start in and they start giving you treatment and everything, just politely tell them I want a copy of my medical records. They can't refuse you. You have got rights. Understand this. Don't let some idiot in a VA tell you anything different. Because here it is, ladies and gentlemen, you got 2 parts of the VA. You've got the legal side and you've got the medical side. The legal side is the worst. It's been my experience, they're a bunch of heathens. They lie. They try to cheat veterans out of adjudications every chance they get. I am not kidding you. And the medical side, these doctors, they're not lawyers. These poor VA doctors, they really don't want to get mixed up in this stuff. They just want to treat you, do the best that they can, and, move on about their business. Okay? And number 10, do not give up. Number 9, I don't know if I said that, but keep a copy of your medical records. And number 10, don't give up. In my case, when I'd reached my 8th year of fighting with the VA and being insulted and blah, 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 like I was making up everything and whatnot have you, They had just about broken my spirit. Are you hearing me? They had just about broken my spirit. I'd already seen a whole bunch of discrimination from my very own family. Had very little support coming back from Vietnam. It got to the point with me, ladies and gentlemen, where I wouldn't even tell people I was a Vietnam veteran. I was ashamed. Why would somebody go dancing through the street about it all when you're knowing back in those days that people were hating you for being a Vietnam veteran? This is the kind of stuff that I faced. And I still, to this day, with certain family members, and I hate to admit this, but I am still being discriminated against for being a disabled Vietnam veteran. I am. It really grieves me and hurts me to have to admit that's why you got to do what you got to do. Do what you know is right to get your rightful adjudication. And I've just given you a lot of information here. Okay, now right off I got a few little notes at the bottom. I'm about ready to wind this up. But I've got a very good VA doctor right now. I've seen dozens of them come and go in my case. But I got one right now that really doesn't mind being a little bit critical of the VA. He pretty much speaks his mind. And the last time I went and seen this doctor, he told me, he said, Jim, he says, we were talking, VA politics a little bit. And he told me, he says, I'm going to tell you exactly what's wrong with the VA. He says, the higher now pay attention, some of you need to hear this. The higher echelon in the VA won't let us doctors and our nurses do what we need to do to help veterans. Did you just hear this? There are certain people that run the VA that really don't want the proper help to get to veterans. I really do hope you understand this. They bind the hands of some of these doctors and nurses. They can't practice true medicine. They're forbidden to do certain things. There's certain things that are allowed, there's certain things that are not allowed. That's piss poor health care, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, like I say, you've got rights within the VA system. Find out what they are, exercise them. Okay. And like I say, don't believe these, warehouse fire lies. And, I just got in telling you about the government control thing. And like I say, they're famous for changing wording around and changing the rules of the game. That's why I might want to say, if I didn't say at the beginning of this file, that this information that I'm giving right now, what is this, May 22nd? I don't even know what day it is, but it's May 22nd or 23rd of 2017. A lot of things could have changed since 1996 through 2004, those 8 years that it took me to get adjudicated. It was a fight. Believe you me, it was a fight. I had 10 to 11 years into just this fighting with the VA and blah, 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 and counter arguments and every other thing to get to where I'm at right now. This is shameful. This is shameful. And okay, here I'm going to leave you with one last thing here. This right here is a 29-page report that's hand wrote by me. I'm not going to hold it still because you don't need to know my personal business. This is a running log of stomach issues that I was having. I hand wrote myself. Every day I would write in this log, 29 pages worth. First, like I say, stomach problems. My first entry was 2/11 of 2011. In other words, February 11th of 2011. Twice I put this into the VA as medical evidence to try to not get more money out of the VA or anything like that, just to get some help with these stomach issues that I got. And here it is, like I say, May 23rd or 4th or whatever it is, and I still got basically the same problems going on with my stomach. And it's not like the VA didn't do anything. They gave me an endoscopy, couldn't find anything except for a couple of small ulcers, and they bitch like hell at me about smoking cigarettes. Well, I done quit. I've been taking every excuse away from the VA that I could possibly take. Well, the doctor that I get along with real good right now, I get to see him in a week or so, and I certainly hope that something gets done because I only get 2 VA visits a year, which I feel really lucky about that. 2 VA once every 6 months, and I am thankful for that. But if you don't have regular appointments and you know that there's something wrong with you, you should exercise your right and get into the system. If nothing else, for at least evidence, creating evidence. Okay? But yeah, this is 29 pages of a known medical condition that I have, the hand wrote, and all this other stuff, and the situation is still going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, I say this to you. I'm only making this video for a handful of people that might want to watch this, a handful of veterans that are struggling with the VA. You gotta fight. If you were strong enough to go fight for Uncle Sam, unfortunately, I hate to be the person that has to break this news. I'm probably not, but you're going to have to fight for your VA rights. And they're there, but you're going to have to fight again. I think it's absolutely pathetic. Like in my case, when I come back from Vietnam, I had too much time left to get at what they called an early out. And I know doggone well that several of my first shirts, and company commanders and stuff knew that there was something wrong with me, but they really basically never did anything. So I was turned loose out of the service with no treatment. And in the mid-1980s, diagnosed with delayed stress syndrome, no treatment. And it wasn't until 1996 I turned myself into the VA that the real circus started. That's why it's important that you don't delay. If you got a claim, get it in ASAP. It's just that simple. Okay, that's really all I got to say. I know I probably missed something here. I did the best job on this video I could. I don't even know what the time factor is I've got into this video, but hopefully it's good enough to maybe give some hope to you veterans that are struggling with the VA, okay? Demand your rights, brothers, sisters, demand your rights. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching.